Intel has a response. I'm actually a little surprised. The timing is about right for Intel to have started working on this right around the time AMD got super actually, yes, no, these guys are competitive. Uh-oh, this looks like trouble. So, hey, I love it. Intel, turns out, can actually do stuff when it matters. Their Rocket Lake CPUs coming in Q1 next year are speculated to be roughly 10 to 20% faster per clock than the current gen Comet Lake CPUs. It's funny how AMD is like, yay, they drew even. And then Intel's like, hey, they're going to have what looks like potentially a similar intergenerational uplift in spite of the fact that they are still stuck on 14 nanometer. And everyone's like, yeah, what do you want, a cookie? Huh? And that's what happens. That's what happens when your business practices are to deliver the bare minimum while you have no competition, and then suddenly go, oh, what? Hey, whoa, we make CPUs. Let's make some CPUs, boys.
I forgot we have like fantastic engineers on staff.
I forgot we have literally some of the smartest people in the world working here. And instead of like, letting them build cool, we're busy like optimizing every last, Xeon bronze, silver, gold, platinum tier of every chip we make to get the most money out of it. Like, stop. I tweeted a little while ago. I was like, Intel, please put an engineer in charge. Sign everyone, or like sincerely everyone.
I saw that. Yeah, that was a good tweet.
It's like, what do the Silicon Valley companies that are excuse me, the hardware companies, what do the hardware companies that are really outperforming the rest have in common right now? And I'm talking companies like Tesla, AMD, NVIDIA. What do they have in common? They have engineers in charge. And like, to be clear, it's not like I'm saying this out of like self-interest. I want to get a job because I'm a highly skilled, engineer. Please hire me to be the CEO of your company. I'm totally not qualified to run a company like Intel. The difference is that I know it.
Yeah, definitely.
Offends me. Anyway, Intel may regain their single-threaded performance lead, but they will likely fall further behind in multi-threaded because Rocket Lake is rumored to cap out at 8 cores per chip. So looking at AMD's lineup here, Intel is looking like they're going to be in a position where they do not have a product to compete with anything over $500 from AMD's lineup. And the craziest thing is AMD will have spent the last 5 months recouping their R&D on Zen 3 with these chips and is going to be ready to meet whatever Intel comes at them with a price drop. Like, oh man, it is a bad time to buy a processor right now because in another 18 months, there's going to be faster stuff from both Intel and AMD.
18 months though.
But I'm just saying, AMD will have refreshed this with Zen 3 Plus or Zen 4 or whatever the next thing on the roadmap is. They'll have a 5 nanometer CPU. Intel's probably going to have some kind of they're going to be going as fast as they can here trying to catch up. It is such an exciting time to build gaming PCs. Did you see our CSGO results?
You said it's not a good time to buy a processor.
I know. If you don't like buyer's remorse, it's a terrible time to buy a processor.
Oh, I get if you're going to have buyer's remorse a year and a half later.
Well, for the longest time, remember when you and I would see that in the comments on the videos and stuff? People were like mad when, what GPU launch was it?
The 3000 series?
I forget. Yeah, that one recently, right? Like people are mad when, all of a sudden their stuff's obsolete 24 months down the line. It's like, it used to be things were obsolete I feel like I'm talking about walking to school in the snow uphill both ways. It used to be our stuff was obsolete in 6 to 8 months and damn it, we liked it that way.
Yeah. By the time your computer was 3 years old, it was like an ancient brick.
Yeah, it was garbage and that was the best. All right. Something, blah, 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 Rocket Lake. You know what I thought was another really cool move from AMD this generation? No new chipset. So on the one hand, they did let us down a little bit, 300 series chipsets not working on the new chips at all. But they still managed, 3 generations for 300 series, and then 400 series is getting a full 3 generations. That's 1 generation per chipset better than Intel managed. So, hey, you know what? Good job. And And they went and they didn't go and unnecessarily release a refreshed chipset. So motherboard manufacturers can refresh their board designs if they feel like the new CPUs need more power phases, or USB 3.2 by 2 Gen 6, whatever they're calling these stupid standards these days. Or, you want to add some 2.5 gigabit that's more affordable now to your lineup. That's great, but you don't have to. You don't feel obligated to buy a motherboard in any way. That always drove me crazy when the only answer you'd be able to get from both AMD and Intel, going back, the only answer you'd ever be able to get when you'd ask, okay, so do I have to get the new chipset with this chip? And they'd be like, well, it's optimal. Like, what does that mean? It means it's, they're engineered for each other. And I'm like, right, but is there a performance difference? Well, it's optimal. They're engineered for each other. Is there a performance difference? And we were never able to measure one. I don't think there was a single time that we had like a CPU refresh on a given platform and we were able to measure some kind of performance difference from the last gen chipset to the new one. Sometimes you'd get more USB ports or whatever, which is great, but not terribly important from like a gaming standpoint. Like, how many USB 3 ports do you need on a gaming rig?
You doing VR?
Say no.
Didn't offer.
Yeah.
Well, most of the USBs that I have plugged in are for like cameras or VR stuff, or the Stream Deck, or charging my phone or whatever. Like, it's not actually really related to actually just gaming.
Like, yeah, exactly.